Did you know that the iconic Moai statues on Easter Island might hold secrets that could change everything we know about ancient civilizations? These massive stone figures, carved by the Rapa Nui people, have long fascinated historians, archaeologists, and travelers alike. For centuries, the true purpose and meaning behind the Moai remained a mystery. However, recent discoveries and advanced research are shedding new light on their significance, suggesting that these statues were more than just ancestral monuments, they were integral to the survival and social structure of the island's inhabitants. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui as it's traditionally known, is one of the most remote inhabited islands in the world. Settled around 1200 AD by Polynesian explorers, the island became home to a highly organized society. Between 1400 and 1650 AD, during a time of dramatic social and political changes, the Rapa Nui began carving and erecting the massive Moai statues. With their oversized heads and solemn expressions, the statues were initially believed to represent deified ancestors meant to project spiritual power and offer protection to the island's clans. However, this theory, while widely accepted, didn't answer critical questions such as why so many statues were left unfinished, why the projects were eventually abandoned, and what triggered the collapse of Rapa Nui society. A new wave of interdisciplinary research has introduced groundbreaking ideas. One compelling theory proposes that the Moai were part of a highly sophisticated agricultural system. Scientists have found that many statues were placed near sources of freshwater, an essential resource on an island with few rivers or lakes. The Moai, then, may have served as both spiritual guardians and practical markers indicating freshwater access. Soil analysis around several Moai platforms revealed signs of nutrient-rich farming, particularly for crops like sweet potatoes and taro. These statues may have demarcated zones ideal for agriculture, creating a connection between spirituality, sustenance, and territory. Furthermore, another theory suggests that building and transporting the Moai helped strengthen social bonds within Rapa Nui society. The immense scale of the project would have required large, coordinated teams working together. This communal labor could have served a deeper purpose than simply statue construction. It may have fostered a sense of unity, identity, and collective purpose, especially during times of resource scarcity or social strife. The Moai building process likely functioned as both a spiritual duty and a means of maintaining social order and cohesion. The methods used to move these massive statues have also been re-examined in recent years. While earlier theories suggested that the Moai were rolled on logs or hauled using sledges, a 2012 study proposed that the statues were actually walked to their final locations using a sophisticated rocking motion and ropes. This technique, requiring only small coordinated teams, supports the idea that Rapa Nui society possessed both the ingenuity and cooperation necessary for such monumental tasks. It also underscores the level of skill and engineering knowledge embedded within the culture. In essence, the Moai of Easter Island are not just relics of the past, they are powerful symbols of human resilience, innovation, and community spirit. With each new discovery, we come closer to understanding how the Rapa Nui thrived in isolation, facing ecological and social challenges with creativity and unity. These statues stand not only as guardians of the past but as teachers for the future, reminding us of the incredible feats humans can achieve when working together with purpose and vision. The latest research into the mysterious Moai statues on Easter Island doesn't stop at their practical purposes, such as marking freshwater sources or reinforcing social structures. These towering stone figures, often standing silently with their backs to the sea, have captivated archaeologists, historians, and explorers for centuries. Now, a growing body of evidence suggests that the Moai were not merely practical or political tools, they may have also held profound cosmological and spiritual significance for the Rapa Nui people. Some scholars are now proposing that many of the Moai were carefully aligned with celestial events, such as solar solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles. These alignments were likely intentional and suggest that the Moai may have served a dual purpose as spiritual guardians and as astronomical markers. This aligns seamlessly with the wider Polynesian tradition of celestial navigation, a sophisticated system in which the stars, sun, and moon were essential tools for long-distance ocean voyages. The Polynesians were among the world's most skilled navigators, capable of traveling thousands of kilometers across open seas without modern instruments, guided only by their deep knowledge of the heavens. If the Moai were in fact aligned with the stars, this would reveal yet another layer of meaning behind their creation. They were not just symbols of power or ancestral reverence, they were literal bridges between earth and sky, monuments that reflected the Rapa Nui's deep understanding of the natural world and their place within it. To carve, transport, and erect these statues using only stone tools and human labor was already a monumental feat, but to do so while ensuring they pointed to cosmic phenomena? That suggests an even higher level of sophistication, planning, and spiritual intention. However, this cosmological perspective introduces new questions that scholars are still working to unravel. If these statues were so central, spiritually, practically, and astronomically, why did their construction come to an abrupt halt? Why do we find so many moai left unfinished in the quarries, some barely carved, as if abandoned mid-process? What happened to the society that built them? The traditional narrative has long portrayed Easter Island as a cautionary tale of ecological self-destruction. According to this view, the Rapa Nui deforested the island to transport moai using wooden sledges and rollers. Over time, this led to widespread deforestation, which caused soil erosion, a drop in agricultural productivity, and a cascade of social and environmental collapse. With resources dwindling and internal tensions rising, the island's clans supposedly turned against one another, toppling moai in a final act of desperation. But recent studies have begun to challenge this bleak interpretation. While it is true that environmental degradation played a role, a more nuanced view is emerging, one that highlights the resilience, adaptability, and intelligence of the Rapa Nui people. Instead of experiencing a rapid and total collapse, researchers now believe that the islanders went through a period of gradual transformation, adapting to the shifting challenges around them. For example, after the forests were depleted and the old methods of food cultivation became less effective, the Rapa Nui began experimenting with innovative agricultural techniques. One such method was lithic mulching, which involved placing rocks and stones around crops to protect the soil, retain moisture, and improve fertility. This ingenious solution helped preserve food sources even in difficult conditions. Other techniques included the use of manavai, stone-walled garden enclosures that protected plants from harsh winds and temperature fluctuations. These adaptive strategies demonstrate that the Rapa Nui were not passive victims of environmental collapse. Rather, they were active problem solvers, responding creatively and intelligently to the pressures they faced. This shifts the narrative from one of doom and failure to one of perseverance and survival. In this light, the moai take on even greater significance. They are not simply relics of a failed civilization, but powerful symbols of ingenuity, cultural identity, and spiritual resilience. Each statue, carved from volcanic tuff and hauled miles from the quarry to its platform or ahu, is a testament to human collaboration and willpower. Their sheer scale and craftsmanship reflect a society capable of tremendous organization and technical skill. Even their physical features tell a story. The elongated ears, heavy brows, and deep-set eyes are thought to represent ancestral spirits watching over the islanders. In some cases, coral eyes were added to awaken the statues and imbue them with spiritual power. Once erected, these moai served as protectors, standing watch over villages and sacred sites, reinforcing a deep belief in the continuity between the living and the dead. As modern researchers continue to study the moai, they are reminded that history is not a fixed script, but a living narrative, one that evolves with every new discovery. Each excavation, each alignment analysis, and each soil sample peels back another layer of the story, forcing us to rethink long-held assumptions and approach the past with fresh perspectives. Today, Easter Island, known locally as Rapa Nui, is one of the most remote inhabited places on Earth. But it remains a hub of cultural and archaeological fascination, drawing visitors, scholars, and adventurers from around the globe. Its mysteries endure not only in the stones, but in the living traditions of the Rapa Nui people, many of whom still celebrate their heritage through language, music, dance, and storytelling.